It's Monday. It's Monday. It's March 28th, 2022. So you should be thinking about baseball, right? Maybe you are, maybe you aren't. I decided to get baseball ready today. This is a video that those who care about baseball, if you're interested in the MLB algorithm, which is this colored tabbed Excel file that automatically has some formulas built in it that I will periodically update and do new versions of. You can purchase one copy of this for the current day that you buy it, because I'll probably end up doing it every day, because somebody will nudge me and force me to do it every day. So there probably will be one every day, but maybe not. It's a long season. So point is you can purchase one. Here's what it does. It gives you a lot of relevant information, and it's also a template almost for you to update it and keep it current, have your own running version of the algorithm. The algorithm is just a set of ideas and formulas and percentages that's totally dynamic all over the place. And when you understand where all these things come from and everything you can do with it, you're like, oh my gosh, oh my God, what am I doing? It's crazy, right? And it is. I don't even understand all of it all the time because it's one of many products that I have. But it's enormous and it does amazing things, but it's also super complicated and it takes a lot of time to update. And I get really frustrated because sometimes people don't want to pay me every day. And I'm like, if you want me to update lineups and matrix names all day long, like, I'm not just going to do it for free if I'm not betting. It's a lot of work. And I'll explain what that work is so that you can do it myself, so that you can do it, not myself, you can do it yourself so that I don't have to do it for you. And you can feel empowered and take control of this file and do the projections you want. So let's get started. This is like the first step video for 2022 MLB algorithm how to update tutorial, right? Well, you start off with the odds. Now, Rotowire, where I subscribe, and I think you will have to subscribe to get access to some of the information that we will need to update the file, but not the odds usually. The odds you can get for free. They don't even have odds yet because this is spring training. Now, there are odds available. I checked on BetUS, and I manually typed over some money lines and some over-unders that I saw. So this is just, everything's always arbitrary anyway, because whatever line you're going to get whenever you make the bet is going to be an independent line, and we're only estimating what the available is whenever this is published. So this is something that you'll want to toggle with manually and understand anyway, to just type in the money line column of the game. So I've got lines in here. This then flows through to a matchup sheet. The matchup sheet is really invaluable. I don't know if I put the in or valuable and invaluable. It's both. It's got supposedly everything. If it's working properly, it's supposed to have everything. Now, we've got some errors in it right now for a bunch of different reasons, and it's brand new, and I'm not going to get into every single category in this video, but I'm going to say, when you see a bunch of errors, well, what's going on? And the answer is, well, the Cubs-Cincinnati game, which is a late-night game tonight, hasn't announced lineups or hasn't been recorded in Rotowire's lineups. So I'm going to move the lineup sheet up here because the lineup sheet and the odds sheet, in my mind, are the two that you're constantly updating right before the game. A lot of the other stuff you can have updated previously and don't have to worry about, but the lineup sheet is this, okay? Here's what the lineup sheet is. Look at that. Now it's blank, and now everything's gone. So we all of a sudden have no lineups. How do we go from no lineups to lineups? Well, Rotowire, fantastic resource, baseball, fantasy, lineups, daily lineups. Thank you for being awesome, Rotowire. Sometimes you have to display settings, say you want games that have already started to show. Like it's right here. Something hide started games. No, you want all the games if you're doing the algorithm. You're going to press Control A, Control C on your keyboard, so you're going to copy all, basically. And you're going to throw it right here as text. Then you're going to refresh this table. And all of a sudden you have teams, pitchers, abbreviated name lineups, and something that goes on over here, which is an error. And then we're going to talk about our errors. Our pink errors, which I can't really filter for in this table, you have to scroll down, are inconsistencies in data or lacking data. Meaning, Max McDowell does not exist in the matrix. This is the matrix, which is the matrix sheet. So the lineups in the matrix sheet oftentimes go together because when you're updating a lineup, you're also updating a matrix. This area right here is the matrix from A to F in the matrix sheet. And it's all the different players' names, hopefully, uniquely put in here. If they are not uniquely put in here and you duplicate a player's name or a player has the same name, it's supposed to show up in pink to notify you that you need to get a unique name for the player. So what this means, if we go back to where we were in lineups, is Max McDowell is not existing on here. Okay, well, let's put Max McDowell on here. And what team does Max McDowell play for? It's going to show, hopefully, here in the matrix if it's sorted right, which is the New York Yankees. And so you put New York Yankees next to Max McDowell. And now the error is gone. And that person exists. So we're going to need to do that for a lot of people. Now, sometimes people are not going to have their exact full name listed. They're going to have an abbreviated name. You'll see a player's full name will sometimes be what's listed here on the lineup sheet, or it'll be an abbreviation of the name. When it's an abbreviation of the name, that's what their name is in the lineup tab, which is what this column is recording. So that is what their name is recorded, even though that's not their full name. Well, how do we find their full name? Well, we're looking at the actual lineup sheet on Rotowire, and we're looking at Detroit, and this is the person. The S is, I like to guess names. I'm always like, Steven. Nope, it was Spencer. You then copy the name here because this is the person's full name, and it goes right here, which is their actual, what their name should be in the stats sheet, which will be this player sheet. And they just don't exist because they probably didn't play last year, and they're only playing this year in 2022. So you have to do this for all of these players that have errors. And there's going to be a ton of errors early in the year because I don't have any of the rosters correct yet. That needs to be done to get this matchup sheet fully correct. I forgot about something else because I just broke something because we brought in the lineups again. Good point. What's going on here? All of a sudden we now have errors that we didn't have before. By the way, we're going to get rid of Chicago-Cincinnati because the lineups are not in for that game yet. And I'm just going to remove it so that we have other things that hopefully are not problems. Now, let me tell you what's going on here. Here you have a pitcher name that in the lineup sheet, in the lineups pivot, is an abbreviation. And we need to change that. This is Eduardo. Only because I know that I believe I got that right. Let's see if that worked. Whoops. Matchups. Yep, that worked. And this is Christopher Sanchez, I think. And you want to change that. You can actually override this pivot, but you're going to have to redo this every time you repaste. Christopher Sanchez. We'll find out if that's right. It's a lottery whether or not I type it in right. Let's check. And matchups. Nope, that didn't work. Let's look on the actual in the game here. Find that person, pitcher. I probably spelled Christopher wrong, but this is the name you want because this is the actual name. So you go back to the lineups and you override this name, which you can do in a pivot table. It will remember that name sometimes. In this case, it doesn't remember the name, but that works. So now guess what? We got pick ranks. We have a full, complete projection, but we haven't finished matrixing all these names, and that will change projections a bit, but probably not that much. So if you were thinking about wagering on spring training games, this is actually right here a pretty reasonable tool, even though, God, who knows who's playing, and there's a whole mess, which I'll talk about the credibility of what this says right now, but based on last year's stats, this is a leg up of understanding who's pitching, what's playing, how's it going. But, of course, it's spring training, so anything can happen. You have one AAA pitcher that hasn't pitched in the majors before for the Cleveland Guardians, who are not the Indians anymore. So if that's news to, it was news to me, maybe it's news to you. The Cleveland Guardians are now a team, and this is the only AAA pitcher who has some interesting stats here. Okay, I haven't even gone over the other tabs yet. We're not going to talk about pivot results yet. That's stuff for like end of when everything else is working good. Then we'll talk about history and results and pivots. Then we'll do that. Not now. That's a later thing. We're just talking about updating the file, trying to get accurate projections for today. If you were going to use this, like right now, this thing says that Detroit, a game that's going on right now, is the #1 pick of the day, right? Against the Yankees. Sounds weird, right? Well, what's the score of that game right now? What's the score of the spring training game between Detroit and the Yankees today, Google? Something from yesterday. Good old MLB.com has a scoreboard, and right now, because they're probably an hour, and the Yankees are up 4-1, and they just put up 3 runs in the 5th inning. So I guess the pitcher that started was good, but whatever they brought in relief didn't work. I bet you that's what happened. Actually, no, Eduardo Rodriguez is still pitching, it says. Well, how about that? So, not a good example so far. Or maybe Detroit will come back. I don't know. It says the score of this game was going to be what? Yeah, it was going to be 7-2 Detroit. All right, so that one's not working out. Sorry, guys. Houston's up 2-0 on St. Louis. So you can start typing in scores here, right? So this is 4-1. So we think St. Louis would come back. But this is spring training. I mean, gosh. Baltimore's down 3-0 to Philadelphia. That's probably predictable. Yep. Okay, so that one's working. Not 33, but just 3. So you'll start to fill this thing in. Toronto down 1-0 to Atlanta. And you can start to change pitchers in here when they start bringing in a pitcher and see what that does to the scores. It's kind of fun to do that. All right, there's a lot to talk about. Batters. This is how to tell how incomplete our list is right now. You should have a colored number in every spot right here. This is batting 1 through 9. I believe they got rid of pitchers hitting, and it's DH in both leagues now. So you'll have a lot more hitting. Expect more offense this year if you have no pitchers hitting in the National League. So you should have a number in every hit. We're missing players because they are new players or they're on the wrong team is why this looks like this. And that's how much work we have to do in the lineup sheet to get this thing accurate for the day. And so that's what I'll do to finish off today. And really, you'll have a version tomorrow, especially if they start publishing lines on Rotowire. As soon as they do, you will, and even without it, you're still able to type in whatever you want and get a look in the matchup sheet here, right? Because there are actual lines on these games. Because there were on BetUS. And, you know, like this is, well, I mean, who knows? Here's one. Likes Oakland over the Angels at an underdog line. Does not like the Guardians over Kansas City with Greinke, who's now on Kansas City apparently. Anyway, you start to go through who's pitching and what, but you got to remember, totally spring training, so nobody is pitching complete games or doing anything crazy. If anything, you'd think there'd be more offense with people trying, but I don't know how this works. Or maybe just the frequency of new pitchers makes it difficult to score sometimes. Honestly, I don't know. It's probably like a normal baseball game. I guess people are trying just like if it was a real game. It's still a game. It's a game and people are betting on it. So what else do you know when you're updating this? Pitcher stats that come out of Rotowire go here. We're using last year's stats right now. And as you and I update this every day, we will find pitchers that got traded and their team from last year needs to be simulated as this year's team instead. And I haven't highlighted them, even though some of these are highlighted and duplicated. That's the other thing is you'll get duplicate pitchers as well. And duplicate pitchers, if we sort this, you start to see duplicate pitchers. You can remove stuff or you can try to combine. I wish they would combine, but I understand why they don't. It's annoying. You don't know which one to use. And sometimes the wrong one gets put on top and you'd rather use a different one. All right, so there's a lot to talk about there, and I'm not going to bore you with that. You have to override if it's not a last year stat, but a AAA stat, and you're adding a new pitcher at the bottom, which is what I'm doing there. You add new stuff at the bottom, like that Adam Scott pitcher today. What else? Player stats go here, and the source for this is under, it's these ones right here, basic stats, and you get batters, pitchers, and that's it. And you put those two in pitchers and batters. Batters one starts like right here. You might have to adjust player teams here as well for players that got traded. That's a whole other thing that needs to be done. I haven't started yet. Then you've got some easier copy pastes, which is just stuff from Baseball Pro Reference. So here, this is going to bring you into Baseball Reference. And you just are going to copy this. And now this is all from 2021, so there's going to be actually that's 2020. 2021 is here. I think we did this right. God, did I put the wrong year stats in there? Let's see here. This is team stats, Arizona, games 60. It's only 60 games. See, I think I had the wrong team stats already in the projection, or these are old. Point is you're looking at this. That's pitching, batting. Games 162. So I think this is what we need. All right, so we're going to grab this. And it goes right here. Okay. And that's going to change some projections, I believe. Let's make sure we have the other ones correct. So this was team batting stats, we should say. Right? Is what that table was. And the link was right there, but it was for the wrong year. So we need to get the correct year, which is actually this link. But we're going to be updating this to 2022 as 2022 season goes by. So understand that this link is going to change, and you're going to need to stay up to date with that. Standings. Standings was from the similar thing. This is last year's standings, so hopefully I got this right. I'm pretty sure I did. Then pitching is going to be this table, right? And you can do the widescreen view, which is why I'm on a weird computer. You got to grab all this. I think this is right. 52, 110. Let's see if this is the same one. Yeah, so I got this right. That's what that is. And then batting stats, I guess, is the same one we just copied. Probably. I don't know. I don't know why I duplicated that, but I might not need to. So the point is these are all the things you can get from Baseball Reference and from Rotowire. To do all of this. You got your lineups, daily lineups, and then there's also an injury report. And I believe I have an injury report in here or not. I'm surprised I don't. We need one. I guess I don't have an injury report, so we are going to set one up right now. It's a good thing. I think I brought that up. So injury report is super important because I know why we don't have an injury report, because we have lineups. But this is good that we're adding one. So I didn't have an injury report in this previously, but I absolutely will add one. And the reason why I didn't have one is every day we're updating the correct lineups. And when we have just the players in the lineup, we are estimating what the value of that player is. So that whole paste right here that we did at the very beginning and that we could do right now, because it's going to be updating and changing by the minute. We'll have to re-update those pitchers' names. We'll have to repaste Christopher and Eduardo again, because it will break every time we repaste this. But as this goes, all these players supposedly are healthy. So the ones that were injured that we would have been worrying about are just not on the list. And they become part of this batters list. And any injured players are just not on here. So they're then not figured into the current day's projections. However, it's important to know if a big name player is just simply not available and how that affects a team. So I will now incorporate something which is not obviously not ready yet, but will be soon, that will show exactly what kind of injuries a team is undergoing. And we want to freeze panes. View, freeze panes, I like to freeze top pane. You'll see that we'll see who's out, and there'll be a contribution factor if someone is injured, for example. We can add that in. For example, right here, we can say what is their injury. And you're going to be looking up